Do you believe he is a trailblazer? Yes, I believe he is a nonconformist. It is truly gracious of you to express such a sentiment. Indeed, I have been searching for my life's path for a long time. It has been many years since Pierce Brosnan first disclosed his wife's devastating medical diagnosis, a moment that deeply moved people worldwide. Throughout her prolonged struggle, he stood by her side, demonstrating resilience, love, and unwavering support. However, he is now bidding farewell, leaving fans everywhere in disbelief. The prevalent question on everyone's mind is the reason behind this decision. What has changed? Has something happened to her, or is Pierce himself facing an unforeseen challenge? Join us as we reveal the startling details behind Pierce's heartbreaking departure, a moment that brought the world to a standstill. When Pierce Brosnan married Cassandra Harris, he was certain that he had found his lifelong companion. She exuded elegance, grace, and immense charm, being an accomplished Australian actress who also served as his true guide in the industry. Despite their life in the spotlight, she provided him with a sense of home. For a time, everything seemed perfect as they raised her two children and later welcomed a son of their own, Sean, forming a loving family of 5. Their children bonded well, and the family enjoyed numerous vacations, making life seem like a blissful dream. Unfortunately, this dream began to shatter in a most unforgiving manner. It all began during one of their work trips to India, when Cassandra started feeling unusually fatigued and experienced abdominal swelling. Initially, she dismissed these symptoms as many strong women do, but beneath the surface, her body was already battling a formidable foe. Upon their return to London, she received the devastating diagnosis of ovarian cancer, the same illness that had claimed her mother. It felt like a cruel repetition. The disease had not confined itself to a simple tumor or shadow. It had spread throughout her body. Their entire world came to a halt, and Pierce, known for his charm and composed demeanor, was suddenly rendered powerless. Despite the circumstances, Cassandra remained remarkably resilient, showcasing unwavering strength. Cassandra questioned every medication and only took what she was sure of. Browen once said that he was the quiet party, watching, loving, and being there for her, and he did just that. He stayed by her side through every treatment, every surgery, and every whispered hope. Browen carried the weight of the house, the kids, and his work, but he never left her bedside longer than he had to. After 2 years, they moved to Malibu, and Cassandra poured her love and time, mid-treatments, into making their home into a sanctuary, as if to mask the fact that it was a battlefield. By December of 1991, Cassandra's body had grown too tired, and the couple realized that they were now at the end. Pierce felt helpless, angry, and confused, but Cassandra, as usual, comforted him by saying, "Please, darling, don't worry. It's just a life winding down." After 4 years of treatment, including 8 surgeries and a year and a half of chemo, Cassandra passed away next to her first son and husband, with Charlotte on the phone. She was 43 years old. Browen later said the pain of losing her was indescribable. Grief lived in his bones. The world kept calling him James Bond, but inside he was just a man learning how to breathe again without her. Even in the years that followed, her memory stayed everywhere, in Charlotte's laugh, in family photos too painful to frame, in the quiet places where her perfume used to linger, especially in where she used to sit under the trees. He once said, There is an incredible cruelty in loss. You feel it like a weight. It changes the shape of your soul. He kept going, he kept working, but part of him remained frozen in that hospital room, watching the woman he loved more than anything fade into a silence that words could never fill. The real Bond, long before Pierce Brosnan became a household name, began when he walked into a room and met a woman who changed everything, Cassandra Harris. Cassandra Harris, born Sandra Colleen Waits in Sydney, Australia, was unlike anyone Pierce had ever met. She had the kind of presence that made people pause, poised, elegant, with an almost regal air, a trace of her upbringing tied back to aristocratic bloodlines. Cassandra, who had studied at the National Institute of Dramatic Art and had already established herself in the industry, became a Bond girl in For Your Eyes Only. Pierce's initial interest in Cassandra was captured not by her career, but by her remarkable beauty. Despite Pierce's costume for his role as Michelle in Philuma, he found himself falling in love with Cassandra as soon as she walked in. Although Cassandra initially wasn't interested in Pierce, she soon discovered their shared passion for acting, music, and books. The couple exchanged their vows on December 27, 1980, in a private ceremony surrounded by close friends and family, away from the public eye of the movie industry. Upon marrying Cassandra, Pierce not only became a husband, but also a father to her two children, Charlotte and Christopher, from her previous marriage. Pierce always expressed his deep love for Cassandra's children, taking his role as a father very seriously. Cassandra played a significant part in Pierce's life, supporting him in his career and providing him with emotional stability. The love between Pierce and Cassandra was exceptional, yet they had to endure unfair and heartbreaking challenges. Pierce's childhood in Navan, Ireland, was marked by solitude and longing for stability, as his father had left when he was just a baby. After his father's absence, Pierce's mother moved to London for work, leaving him in the care of his grandparents. They cared for him until they both passed away. Aunts and uncles took him in, transferring him from one home to another like a borrowed coat. There was love, but not always warmth or closeness. He later expressed that he was a lonely child, not in a dramatic sense, but in a quietly crushing manner that led him to stare out of windows, wondering why his life felt so empty. At the age of 11, he was finally reunited with his mother in London, but the transition was challenging due to his Irish accent in an English school and a name no one could pronounce, making him feel like he didn't quite fit in anywhere. Art became his safe space, as he was always drawing, imagining, and disappearing into worlds of his own creation. Leaving school at the age of 16 with no grand plan or roadmap, he had a vague sense that he wasn't meant to fade into the background. He explored commercial art and even learned how to be a fire eater for a circus act, amidst the chaos of trying to make sense of it all. One day, while working backstage at a theater, he felt something spark within him as the stage called to him, feeling like home in a way nothing else had before. Joining a theater group and auditioning for the Drama Centre in London, he was accepted and attended the school for 3 years, learning to use his voice to convey emotions on film, which would soon resonate across television screens and movie theaters worldwide. He later met his wife, Cassandra, who encouraged him to break boundaries as an actor, and despite losing her, his greatest heartbreak was still ahead. How does a father say goodbye to a child when the world seems to be falling apart all over again? The farewell that broke him again. Charlotte was more than just a daughter to Pierce Brosnan. She was a bright light in his life and a living connection to his late wife, Cassandra. Like her mother, Charlotte was drawn to the arts and pursued a career in acting, sharing a lifelong partnership with Irish actor Alex Smith, and raising two children who brought joy and meaning to their lives even during the darkest times. Charlotte and Alex married in a touching and private ceremony shortly before Charlotte's passing, demonstrating the depth of their unbreakable bond and enduring love that sustained them through difficult times. In the early 2000s, Charlotte was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, the same cruel and hereditary disease that had previously claimed the life of Cassandra. The heartbreaking parallels were compounded by the fact that Charlotte's children were the same age as she and her brother Christopher had been when they lost their mother, serving as a poignant reminder of the family's tragic cycle. Witnessing Charlotte confront the same devastating illness reopened emotional wounds, described as a relentless storm without refuge, with each hospital visit, test, and treatment serving as a painful reminder of life's fragility. The family's sorrow permeated every moment, both public and private, as Pierce's career took a back seat to his role as a protector and father. Subsequently, Pierce advocated for early detection of ovarian cancer, a relentless adversary that continued to break his heart. Following a difficult battle, Pierce bid farewell to his daughter Charlotte, who peacefully passed away in 2013 at the age of 41. In interviews, Pierce openly expressed the unbearable anguish of losing his daughter, acknowledging the personal devastation and the profound impact on his family's legacy overshadowed by illness. Behind closed doors, Pierce grappled with heartache beyond the public eye, redefining his perception of success and family in the wake of his daughter's illness and passing. The profound personal grief Pierce experienced while portraying one of cinema's most iconic roles prompted reflection on the cost of such a journey, leading to the profound rise of Pierce. Pierce didn't catapult to stardom solely through his portrayal of James Bond, but meticulously built a strong and respected career prior to that. His initial international recognition came in the 1980s as the suave private investigator Remington Steele in the eponymous television series, which aired from 1982 to 1987. His charisma, charm, and effortless appeal garnered attention, with Bond producers taking notice years before his eventual casting. Throughout the 80s and early 90s, Pierce showcased his versatility in a range of films and TV movies, such as The Fourth Protocol in 1987, Mr. Johnson in 1990, and The Lawnmower Man in 1992, demonstrating his capacity beyond romantic or spy roles. However, his portrayal of James Bond in 1995 marked a significant turning point in both his life and career. Portraying the iconic British spy was a lifelong dream that he had shared with his late wife, making it a bittersweet experience when he finally landed the role without her by his side. Assuming the role also brought about significant pressure, as he wasn't just playing a character, but inheriting a global legacy shaped by legendary actors before him, such as Sean Connery, Roger Moore, and Timothy Dalton. However, his portrayal as 007 in the 1995 film GoldenEye not only revitalized the franchise after a 6-year hiatus, but also introduced a more contemporary and captivating portrayal of Bond, effectively dispelling his initial fears. Subsequently, he starred in 4 more Bond films, pushing himself both physically and mentally by performing 90% of his own stunts, even enduring close calls on set, such as a near miss during a skydiving scene in Die Another Day. Despite the risks, his dedication to authenticity significantly enhanced the film's realism, resonating with audiences and translating into substantial box office success, cementing his status as one of Hollywood's most lucrative stars. During the peak of his Bond era, Pierce Brosnan's net worth soared to over $70 million, underscoring the immense impact the role had on his professional and financial trajectory. As the final scenes of his Bond tenure concluded, he found himself facing a different kind of danger in his personal life, prompting reflection on how a man adept at recognizing peril on screen could overlook the warning signs in his own reality. Despite achieving global success, the world of Hollywood is known for being unforgiving and unpredictable, and even a star of his magnitude is not immune to its shifting tides. The decision to replace him as James Bond was not simply a regular layoff or replacement, but rather a betrayal to a man who had dedicated himself wholeheartedly to the franchise. When he first secured the role in the mid-1990s, he was still mourning the loss of his first wife, Cassandra. The role of 007 provided him with a sense of purpose, as he remembered how much his late wife had wanted the role for him, and he was determined to make her proud whenever he was on set. He devoted himself entirely to the franchise, showcasing a blend of strength and vulnerability that resonated with fans in a new way, making him the embodiment of Bond for an entire generation. After starring in 4 films and leading the franchise for nearly a decade, everything changed with a brief 46-second phone call, marking the end of a chapter that had redefined his career. The producers informed Pierce that he was being replaced as James Bond, a decision he did not anticipate despite openly expressing his desire to continue portraying the character. Despite the financial success of the films, with Die Another Day earning over $431 million worldwide behind closed doors, the producers had already been considering a new direction for the franchise. This decision not only led to the loss of the iconic role, but also had a significant impact on his career, causing other studios to perceive him as too closely associated with the character of Bond. As a result, casting directors began to retract offers, and his asking price per film plummeted from $12 million to just $3 million almost. Overnight, feeling used and discarded, he found it particularly difficult to accept that the change was not due to poor box office performance, but rather a creative decision by the producers to pursue a different direction for the character of Bond, one that reflected a post-9/11 world. Some attributed the replacement to negotiation disagreements behind the scenes, suggesting that Pierce Brosnan's financial demands to return for another film might have played a role in the decision. Despite everything, the betrayal deeply affected Pierce, who had been the driving force behind the franchise's revival. Pierce was not only the face of the brand, but also the heart of the story, drawing many people back to the theater. His departure, without even a farewell scene, caused visible pain in interviews despite his attempts to remain gracious. Following the loss, Pierce faced struggles on creative, emotional, and mental levels, describing the aftermath as a fog of confusion, anger, and disappointment. However, he persevered, taking on smaller, more intimate roles in films like The Matador, Seraphim Falls, and The Ghostwriter, and even establishing his own production company, Irish Dreamtime. Additionally, he produced the movie Evelyn, based on a true story, showcasing his determination to rebuild and expand his creative horizons. Although enjoying the freedom of being in charge of his hours, Pierce admitted missing the action, adrenaline, and larger-than-life nature of the franchise, particularly the sense of being part of something bigger and inspiring. Despite the loss, a new love story emerged as Keely Smith entered Pierce's life, providing comfort and laughter, ultimately leading him out of his emotional ruins. Their connection led to marriage in 2001, a decade after Pierce became a widower, and their love was a source of strength, despite facing personal challenges, including the scrutiny of the tabloids. In this instance, Pierce was not reserved, but instead responded to the media. He openly praised Keely without hesitation, expressing that she is the most beautiful woman in his life and the love of all his days. He consistently emphasized that Keely is more than just her physical appearance or image, highlighting the depth of her character. Over time, their love has continued to grow stronger and deeper. In 2024, they celebrated their 23rd wedding anniversary. Pierce commemorated the occasion with a heartfelt public tribute, sharing a poetic photo and caption. He expresses gratitude for the love they have shared over the past 23 years. Pierce not only presents her with flowers on anniversaries, but also through the way he gazes at her, demonstrating his enduring affection. Even after 20 years, they now split their time between Malibu and Hawaii, surrounded by the tranquility of nature and the joy they have cultivated together. Pierce engages in painting, writing, and rediscovers his smile, not as a result of forgetting the pain, but because he has overcome it. While he once saved the world on screen, in real life, it was Keely who rescued him. It's evident that this may be the happily ever after meant for Pierce. As for tough goodbyes, have you ever experienced the challenge of bidding farewell to a loved one? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments section, and remember to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, consider watching the next video displayed on your screen for further enjoyment.